2 years of working in property insurance full-time has led me to this very moment, making a tier list for the first time. Round of applause. Woo, first tier list. In all seriousness, I really enjoy making lists, and I know the whole internet makes tier lists, so I decided to make my own today, and that is coming off the coattails of my previous video. Right here I have a tier list of all the unreleased and leaked heroes that are in the game files. On that note, a few housekeeping things. One, I get it, heroes are not the only thing that Valve should worry about in Deadlock. I'm under the same boat of people who want maybe like another objective on the map to fight, or more balancing, or fleshing out the older heroes that we already have. All completely valid. I'm with you on that. I guess it's less of a hero shooter. I would count this more as a MOBA, but heroes are essential to MOBAs. I love the excitement of knowing what's coming next. So I've made several categories of what I think these characters should classify as. First I was thinking, oh, I should do a tier list about how probable it is for a hero to make it into the game. But then that would eliminate 95% of these heroes because they're not done. They're not finished. They don't have enough information about them. Instead, I'm going to do it on a hero's potential. And by that, I mean, I'm doing what they say to never do, which is judge a book by its cover, because that's really all we have. We only have scraps to work with. So just off of game files, leaks, artwork, the name, I'm going to give my subjective opinion on how round of a character they sound, rather than how soon they're going to come into the game. So if you agree with me, that's awesome, and if you don't, that's also cool. Very quickly, this is how I've categorized things. I still have S through D, but S is a clear character with almost every aspect done. This should practically be no one, because then they'd be in the game already, right? For A, I have extremely interesting, but missing a core aspect or two. This could be like they're missing a model, but they have everything else done. For B, I have missing a lot of things, but they have a unique trait that I think can be further developed into something good. C, really hard to envision what's going on here. I think barely even touched, nowhere near done. And then for D, I have do not release. And this is like, I guess I shouldn't put this here because based off of my preliminaries, these characters kind of already go every step above, but I guess you can say all the characters that you may have known about but I did not put in this list, they would probably classify here, which is basically like they only have a name. Okay, starting off, we have these 4 heroes. In order from left to right, we have, it's not actually Paradox and not actually Lash, but we have Swan, Boho, Skyrunner, and Priest, or Venator? Venator. I'm not sure how to say it. I know it's Latin. Forgive me. I will learn his name in time. These were the 4 heroes that I could bring up in the console. I'm not sure why I can't bring up any of the other ones, but yeah, because we're only working with limited information, I thought I could at least give a visual to what some of these heroes do. So the first one we're going to work with is Boho. So we only have Boho's character select type of icon right now, but from what I understand, she is this kind of AoE witch that involves around bouncing damage between enemies. So that's why I've spawned 3 Infernuses here. So her one, skip shot, throw a projectile that bounces between targets, and it will reduce his cooldown if there are no enemies near the first one. It looks like a recolor of Viscus's ball. It literally just bounces between targets very, very quickly, and it actually does a decent amount of damage. Mind you, everything is subject to change. Just throwing that out, nothing is final. Clearly, she doesn't have an in-game model, so don't come for me for that. Her second ability is Swish, swing twice, dealing spirit damage to targets in front, hit enemies, grant bonus movement speed, and stacking barrier. Okay, so it uses Mina's Swan's animation, but it kind of just hits everyone. The cone is it's pretty massive. Intertwine, enemies hit by spirit damage are linked to other linked enemies, sharing a portion of incoming damage. So we just saw that. We have a little chain right here that attaches to enemies, and it splits the damage between them. All right, there's no description on her ultimate, so we're just gonna run it. Interesting. Okay, so she links all enemies in her radius, and then it erupts and it puts a snare on them. I also forgot to use Boho's left click, so let's see. It shoots out really fast, and it looks like there's kind of like gumballs. It looks like gumballs are shooting out, but I'm sure it'll be very different once it's finished. So I'm at this crossroad, right? because Boho is missing a few things. She's missing lore. There's no lore on her. She's missing a model. She has no voice lines and no animations, obviously, because she doesn't have a model. However, I feel like her gameplay makes sense. She splits damage between multiple people, so a lot of AoE, and I think extremely devastating in a team fight. Also, she is a mage. I mean, just based off of the artwork too, she's supposed to be like this curvaceous witch character, right? And I think that's also very fitting. And also, I'm a lot more inclined for more mage characters because I feel like we don't have too many of them. We just got Paige, and I think Paige is great, so that's really cool. The thing is that a lot of people think that she's going to release pretty soon. However, there isn't too much, I don't want to say developed, but compared to most of these characters, there's a lot to work with. By definition though, B is probably where I'm going to place her, because that unique trait of like splitting damage between people is enough to give her an identity at least. Yeah. For our first hero, Boho's a B. Okay, next we have Priest, Venator, however you say it, and I'm actually pretty excited about this because yes, he doesn't have a model just like Boho, but he does have some voice lines, although it sounds like placeholder voice lines. We'll see with his one here. So his one is a flashbang. He literally says AoE thing. I think that's hilarious, but it's probably not the final voice line. I kind of hope they keep it though. So it's actually less of a flashbang and more of a Molotov. I wonder if it like actually blinds on impact though. But that's cool. I like that. And then his 2, which I believe is like he blasts with his gun and it knocks him back and pushes other people forward. Yeah, look at that. I think if you shoot into a wall, it stuns. Yep. And that's his gun. I've heard people saying that his left click was apparently very strong and that's why they had to postpone him. It looks like it shoots fast. His 3 is the stacking shield. I'm not really sure how you stack it because I'm not seeing anything. There's a good radius on that too though. And then his ultimate, which looks like you get 4 shots of just blasting and there's headshot damage. But yeah, he seems pretty solid. I say that when there's no model, but okay, so Priest, he doesn't have a model, but he has voice lines. He has a kit that seems pretty developed, and he does have lore. He's supposedly a part of the Vatican, and they're like hunting vampires. So I am actually going to put Priest in A. I feel like a lot of people are anticipating him coming out soon too, especially since he was in the leaked roster. So yeah, I'm sure they got a model cooked up. They just have to release that, throw in some unique animations, and I think we have Venator pretty soon. For my ranking of how round he is, just missing the model will be enough for me to put him in A. The next hero a lot of people were really interested in, and they made sure to tell me that because I didn't cover him in the previous video, but this is Skyrunner. He's using Lash as a base model right now, which kind of makes sense just off his name. It sounds like he's supposed to be like a very vertical kind of hero, which that makes sense because that's what Lash is. So starting off with his left click, it's so funny seeing this on Lash's model because Lash's gun is burst fire. Lash is on full auto right now. All right, life thread, fire line that attaches to the world, allows you to swing. Okay, so it's like if Lash could attach to environment instead of heroes, and then it has a upward curved trajectory, but it looks like you can attach to targets. Yeah. 2. What is this? Is that like a steel beam? I get it. Something for him to climb and jump off of. Does this do damage of anything? No, I don't think so. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, he needs more verticality. And then flak shot. Bullet still bonus if weapon damaging can ricochet. I didn't even notice that. You guys might have been onto something with this character. I really like that. That's gonna be fun. Or it's super annoying. Or maybe it sucks. Demon Trigger Blitz is ulti. Load your weapon with demonic rounds. After a delay, release a blitz of bullets at the target enemy. These bullets can be intercepted. Gotcha. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Wait, did his ultimate just like ricochet? It did. How's that work? Like plausibly, how do you use that? I'm kind of sold on this character right now. I'm gonna put him Is it wrong for me to put him in A when he's missing the same things as Boho? I need to be fair. Skyrunner is going in B, but this verticality, the ricochet, the steel beam, that's super cool. I definitely think that something can develop from that very easily. Okay, the last hero that I can physically show in game is I was about to say Paradox. Paradox is the placement model for this character, but this is Swan. I also had a few people talking about Swan and they seemed pretty excited about this character. Feather Boomerang. Swan shoots out 2 boomerangs that connect at a certain point, and I bet you on target where it meets does more damage. Yeah. Jette, leap into a target direction. If no direction is chosen, then leap straight up instead. Okay, it just gives you a super jump. That's fun though. And Acrobat. Gain stacking bonuses every time you dash, double jump, wall jump, or teleport. You can get a max of 4 stacks. It increases your weapon burst bonus, and then you can also increase your fire rate if you upgrade it a few times. Okay, I love passives personally. I feel like if they're done well, they add a lot to a character. This one's pretty basic. I love that it stacks off of movement mechanics, so that's pretty interesting. Then ultimate, I guess it's a buff of some sort since the icon is just kind of like a big arm, but nothing's happening, so couldn't really tell you what this ultimate is. Okay, so I'm gonna rank Swan in C. So while yes, I understand it's another kind of vertical character, or I guess high mobility character involving jumps, this character is missing like 2 abilities. I mean, there is the passive, but I have no clue what the ultimate does. And I think like that would offer a lot more into what this character is actually trying to be. Yeah, this character doesn't have any lore, and it's still using a placement model. So yeah, I don't think that they shouldn't work on this character, but they definitely need to give her more time. Okay, next we have Kali, which is clearly using Viper's model. But yeah, like I mentioned, I can't bring up this character in the console for some reason, so I'm just going to read what I can about this character. Does not look like we have any lore, but we do have abilities here. Cilio Blade. Throw a spinning blade that deals damage and returns to you. You get slowed, gets more damage, especially off of Spirit, and then you get reduced cooldown per enemy. Pack Hunter. Provide a large speed bonus to you and nearby allies. Another fast reptile type of character, maybe. Dust Storm. Send out a tornado that damages enemies it touches, as well as supply a lingering movement and fire rate slow. Trapper's Delight. Throw a bolo that bounces between enemy heroes before returning to you. Victims will slow down over 2 seconds and then become immobilized for 2 seconds. Bounces once per hero. Another ability that bounces around. Okay, so Kali looks like Viper with a fishing vest as of right now. I mean, it's something. I'm also going to put Kali in C. I'm not really sure what to feel. I don't really have a grasp on what this character's playstyle really is. It kind of seems generic, which is probably going to be a theme with a lot of these characters. I think there's potential for this like placeholder lizard character model, and I'm still pretty excited to see what this character becomes. But yeah, something's just not clicking, and I really want more. Okay, next we have Gunslinger. There is kind of a unique model that this character has, and he's dual wielding 2 eagles, which is pretty cool. Oh, he's wielding 2 Diamondbacks from TF2 specifically. Okay, so he only has 3 abilities right now. He has Post Grenade, which is just like Paradox's. Infernal Brand. Passively mark enemies with a brand. Shooting an enemy with a brand consumes the effect, dealing bonus damage and granting fire rate and movement speed. It's nothing unique, but something we haven't seen out of the other unreleased heroes yet. And then we have Demon Trigger Blitz, which is just like the Skyrunner ulti that I just showed. I feel like on this character, it makes a lot more sense though. The name of Gunslinger's ability suggests that he could be Ixion. Ooh, okay, so Ixions are kind of like the tieflings of Deadlock, similar to Infernus. Infernus, I believe, is also an Ixion. That alone is a lot more interesting than just like a cowboy gunslinger, in my opinion, especially since we have Holiday already. Kind of makes Demon Trigger Blitz and Infernal Brand actually make a lot more sense. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to give Gunslinger B. Right? Doesn't have a finished model, but has a unique one at least. Dual wielding guns. I'm never gonna hate that. That's so sick. And I think those abilities tie well together. There just needs to be more. He just needs his 4th ability, technically his 2nd ability, and they just have to make the other ones a little more unique, but I kind of see what they're going for here. Okay, next we have Wrecker. If you didn't see the previous video I just released, I was able to put him out into the game through the console. I can't now for some reason, but I can go over quickly his abilities again. So his 1, he threw a giant ball of scrap that stuns. He just kind of spirit bombed it. His 2, he attached a link to people and he just started like kind of siphoning. Yeah, it heals. So it's a siphon similar to Lady Geist's. And then if it kills, he gets an extra charge of his third ability, which is Bioblast, which he just shoots out in a cone and it slows people. And then his ultimate is Overload, which is like Nunu from League of Legends, where he just stands still, charges up, and then he explodes in an area. He's got a unique model. However, I am aware that his helmet is taking from Clockwork, a character from Dota 2. So they wouldn't use that exact character model, but it's something at least over other characters. And he was in Hero Labs, so people got to really test him. Yeah, I think he's a B. I feel the scrap golem type of robot vibe, and then I see what they're doing with his abilities. I can tell this character would be so good with spirit. Overall, there just needs to be a lot more fleshing out, but he seems kind of beloved in the community. So I feel like, I don't know when he would release, but I feel like they would still workshop this into something more, I guess, presentable. So next we have Fathom, also another fan favorite of the community from what I've seen. His first ability, just to go over it again, he shoots scalding water in a cone. It builds up damage over time on an enemy. His 2 is he jumps up and then he slams down and knocks people up. And then his 3, he shoots out a harpoon and it kind of reels you in. It's kind of like Skyrunner's first ability. It also does not break invisibility, and it seems like for a short range assassin, that's pretty useful. He has good mobility, he can ambush. Next ability literally says Lurker's Ambush. So when he's not moving and not seen, he heals a portion of his health and then he becomes invisible. And while he's invisible, he's completely invulnerable. So yeah, he has all the makings of a stalker assassin. And for that, I think his design leads him to have a very clear gameplay. I just think they need to clean up his model, and I can very easily envision myself playing a character like this. And you know, invis characters, you hate them, you love them, you most likely hate them. He's got some kind of deep sea assassin aesthetic going on, and I'm all for that, which is like pretty apparent in his lore too, which, you know, he has lore, so that's another bonus. I'm gonna put Fathom in A. Next we have Cadence, which I've had a few people already mention this character, and I had no clue what this character was, I'll be completely honest, so I'm gonna look straight into it right now. So this is Cadence's place model icon. It looks pretty creepy. She looks like a demonic nun, and I don't really know what's going on, but in her other placeholder model, she's this very big woman with a Viking hat on. So I'm not really sure which model represents the character more, but let's read on it. Oh, so she's an Ixian woman, so she's going to be the same race of Furnace and Gunslinger, so that's pretty cool. And she's a lead singer of a jazz band called Cadence and the Requiem Boys. Her verse is Anthem burst into an inspiring song. You and an ally that comes within range get an instant reload with an extra large clip and a bonus fire rate. That's really cool. She sounds supportive, and not even just supportive, gun supportive. Silence contraptions. Disarm yourself, perform a long-range dash melee attack. For the duration of the song, you remain disarmed, and your melee abilities apply a debuff that disarms and EMPs enemy targets. Ooh, okay, interesting. And then Lullaby. Lull your foes to sleep. Any enemy that comes in range of Cadence sleeps until woken by damage, and then she ends the song when she goes out of range. She has a bonus regen while singing. And then her ultimate crescendo, encase enemies in glass, increasing range over short distance, duration. She then breaks the glass with her powerful voice, breaking any shields on them, damaging them, and giving them massive bullet vulnerability. Just like I said, she's very much designed to be a support for gun carries. Like, I could see her being paired up with Haze or Viper. It's like, that's really cool. I really appreciate that. I feel like that's extremely underrated. Plus, I've been saying like we need more supports, so this is a very creative one. She's the lead singer of a jazz band. She sings the hit song Paying the Price. She's a side character in Ivy's visual novel. Okay. Oh, this is supposedly a leak of how she's supposed to look, which she looks a lot more tiefling like in this. I wonder why they gave her this placeholder model then. It seems pretty like random. I guess right here it says it's based off of the fat lady opera singer stereotype, but I guess like they kind of developed that they wanted to move away from that, which that makes sense. But I do love the singer character. I feel like most of the time in video games, they're mages though. So this is I mean, like support usually, but like more spirit based, I guess, in the context of this game. Okay, missing model, which means no animations to go with it, but technically has a little bit of lore. Okay, how hard do I want to judge this? Because I almost want to put her like here, but that wouldn't make sense because I felt the same way about Boho and Skyrunner. I'm gonna put Cadence in between Gunslinger. Actually, I'm gonna put Rutger in between both of those two. Yeah, I feel like I understand what they're going for here, and I'm excited to see how they really flesh it out. I'm all for these like fiction characters. Like those characters are so interesting to me, so I really want to see more of them. Okay, next we have Rutger. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at here. He kind of looks like he has a like a pig hat on. Regardless, so doesn't look like he has any lore, but he does have abilities. Rocket launcher. Ooh, okay. Launch a rocket that deals damage in an area, applies knockback. He receives half of the damage and 175% knockback from his own rocket if it's an impact radius. Half of the damage. I guess it depends on how much damage that thing does. That sounds like a lot for a rocket jump. Force field. Create a field at a target location and pushes enemies away from its outer edge. Ooh, so like an anti-black hole. His third ability is cheat death. Okay, so it's not exactly like Victor's, because this doesn't revive him. It just makes him unable to be killed, like Tryndamere ult from League of Legends. Sorry if I keep making League references. It's the game that I know the most in terms of MOBAs. So after this ends, he'd be able to die. 4 seconds. Is that a long time in Deadlock? I feel like time to kill in Deadlock can be very, very long. So depends on if you consider 4 seconds a long amount of time. And then his ultimate is post. Release a fast pulse in a large area that damages, slows, and prevents enemies from using abilities. Oh, silences. The damage dealt is based on how close the enemy is to the center of the pulse. It kind of sounds like a silencing, like airstrike. No, not airstrike. Brimstone from Valorant. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. Still, I don't know what I'm looking at. He looks goofy. I'm gonna put him in C, but high C, because I do feel like I got a grasp of what his abilities are trying to do compared to the other two. Also, they seemed pretty unique. I don't think other characters have anything like these 4 abilities. Other than that, don't know who I'm looking at. I have no other references to go off of, but that's okay. Okay, next we have a character I've talked about before, but we have Trapper, or as some people like to call him, Pocket with a Fade, because he's using Pocket's base model. Shout out to Red Ranger again, because they do a lot of great artwork on Deadlock, and they did a mock-up of what Trapper could like, and just straight up janitor vibes. I think it's hilarious. Trapper has lore. So Trapper works for the Municipal Coven, and they basically like clean up all of New York with all of its pest problems and magical pest problems and all the icky stuff with the city, which it's a big city. It is New York. Even in this fantasized setting, it's probably still pretty gross. Bottled Phantasmicide. He throws a toxic pool. People are silenced and slow. Oh, okay. I thought it would give a dot. I feel like that would make sense, but that's cool too. Silk Trap. He creates a trap of webs. People that walk into it take damage, are slowed and revealed. Pest Barrier applies a combat barrier, deals spirit damage to people around them, and it slows. And then Crawling Plague, where he sends out a whole charge of spectral spiders, and they poison people, they reduce spirit and spirit resist, and they explode. I mean, he has voice lines, and his abilities make sense. He's kind of a zoner, a literal trapper. He locks down an area, or he sets it up for like objectives or something. I mean, it makes sense to me what it's supposed to be. Okay, so next we have Vandal. He's using Abram's base model, kind of chunky. He has something in his left arm, which is Abram's book, but he has an urn here, and he has like the big ass revolver. He's a beefy guy. It says here that he's using abilities that already exist from other characters, so they most likely haven't workshopped this guy enough. I really hope that they keep this like soul urn a part of his like identity of some sort. And if they still choose to make him like a big beefy guy, like I think that would be pretty fitting. But I want to know why they call him Vandal. Like, I heard the name Vandal and I didn't automatically think like, oh, he carries around like an urn or something, which, you know, there's not much art to go off of. But actually, I appreciate Vandal being here, because I think this is our first do not release. Definitely needs to be worked on more. Okay, for this next hero, hear me out. I'm putting Raven in S, and I'm not saying I don't have criticisms of this character, because he's not perfect in the slightest, but I do feel like there's a lot more to this character than any of the other characters that we've seen today. I mean, he has lore. He's a Russian operative. His codename is Operative, and he uses this umbrella to use as a weapon that he can shoot out of. He has a few unique animations and a few unique abilities. His first ability is he throws a concussive grenade, and it reduces enemy turn rate, and also it allows allows him to have a passive of doing bonus backstab damage. His umbrella maneuverability allows him to propel himself backwards with his umbrella and then kind of like float and then shoot. I know what I said. He doesn't have a unique 3. His 3 is just Wraith's 3, where he has a steroid for his attack speed. He has his ultimate, which he activates a relic, and then if people look at it for too long, they become burst like the item does. Mind you, all of these abilities still need like a little bit more animation work, but at a core, I do feel like Raven is much more of a complete character. Also, if you give backstab damage to anyone, it kind of leads me to believe you're kind of a assassin type of character. You know what? I can't stand by my words because I'm thinking about it, right? And I'm gonna put him right here in between Priest and Fathom. The reason why I can't put him in S is because I don't know what his abilities are trying to do. His abilities are kind of everywhere. I mean, he seems like his focus is his umbrella, right? Which is secretly a gun. But he has backstab damage, and then he has a steroid, and he has a supposedly big CC ultimate. That doesn't really lean me towards backstabbing assassin. If anything, that might be more of like Fathom's thing. So I'm not sure why that's there. He's a spy, and I'd love to see more gadgets, actually. I think that would be really interesting. I really like this character. I really wanted to put him in S, but I'm gonna stick by my standards that I've set here. Just keep him at A. He's missing a few things, but he's practically there. He's so close, so close. Okay, and now we have the boss, which I know nothing about, but just off of this piece of artwork right here, I'm very intrigued. He looks like he has Yakuza type of dragon tattoos, but let's see how accurate that. Oh, his weapon is literally called Yakuza Boss Gun. His 1 is Shakedown. Send a drone to lock an area down, rooting and damaging enemies in the area. The link between your drone shares a portion of the damage you take with a random rooted enemy. Okay. Hired Muscle. Summon a subordinate gangster to follow a friendly attack, or follow a friendly unit and attack enemies closest. That's cool. Okay, a summons kind of character. That's not where I thought this would go. Create a protective force shield to protect an ally, increase their crit damage. Purges negative effects. Okay, and then Setting Sun. Call down a precision gamma ray blast from orbit. Oh, this is the Brimstone ult. He's a lot more technologically advanced than I thought he would be. He almost seems supportive with this like shield and hired muscle ability, but oh my god, I don't know what to think of this character. He has a lot of like lockdown big AoE, but then he's got like some treats here with this like summon. Just following the standard of what I gave Gunslinger, right? I guess you could tell what Gunslinger's trying to be off of name, off of the placeholder abilities that they gave him, and just like a basic rundown of like 2 lines of lore. Not sure where the boss fits in lore because there's not any given, but I do really like the design philosophy behind this character. I mean, I don't even know if I can call it that, but still, like Yakuza boss, and then they're doing like some crazy spin on it. Because, you know, I hear Yakuza and I kind of assume like brawly kind of gangster, or like even more of like a sword fighter route, right? With that in mind, I don't really know what's happening here, but I like what I'm seeing. And as a preliminary, I'm just gonna put him at the top of C. All right, and the last hero I'm gonna talk about today, which is also not the last hero in these files. There's a few more, but there's barely anything on those characters. We have Tokamok. So it looks like Tokamok uses Bebop's base model, and he also has some very vibrant kicks right here. His ammo bar takes the form of a heat gauge, which rises the longer the player fires and lowers when he's not firing. Past a certain point, it'll begin to overheat, and it increases firing speed. However, the player must be careful because if it overheats, he's unable to fire the gun for a few seconds. Okay, so a heat mechanic for one specific character in Deadlock. I definitely envision this type of design, so it looks like that's the basis of his gun at least. Hot Shot. Blast your enemies with a jet of superheated plasma. Deal additional damage when the heat gauge is red. Okay, so they're using the heat gauge in more than just his left click, which I appreciate them doing that. Divine Star. Launch forward, damaging all enemies near where you land, knocking them into the air, just like Fathom's 2. Blinding Radiance. Bring your cord to the brink of criticality, blinding and damaging any that look in your direction. Oh, so flashbangs. This is the flashbang. And then Plasma Cannon. Collect targets until ready to unload. Each shot is 0.6 seconds apart. Additionally, remnants of 2 more abilities can be found. Breach. Explosively decompress a cloud of coolant. Allies inside the cloud are invisible. Okay. And Thermal Volt. He harnesses more power, and Thermal Volt harnesses more power as they heat up. Melee strikes add a burning effect. Okay. Huh. Okay, so I like that second one because it kind of gives more to do with the heat gauge. I actually did not think there was gonna be as much to this character as it seemed. So I'm gonna put this at the end of B. I think Tokamok has potential. Okay, so this is my finished list. I'm a little upset that I didn't actually get to place a character in S, and I ended up placing the character in D, which I did not think I was going to do. I mean, with these parameters that I set, I feel like it'd be unfair to give any one of these characters S over any of the other characters, right? I mean, if they made it to S, they'd probably be in the game already, right? So that's my tier list, but let me know what you guys would have done. Maybe like you would have switched up a few other characters, and also keep telling me about more heroes that you've heard about, and like maybe there's not much to them, but I will definitely take a look at them. I only really skimmed through most of the characters that had something worthy to talk about. Mine is Vandal, clearly, because we found out that there wasn't really much to Vandal. Thanks if you stuck around for my very first tier list. I can't explain to you how, like, I guess proud of this I am. I know people watch tier list videos all the time, but like I've always wanted to do this. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.